Okay, so what we want to talk about tonight is 60-minute copy, 60-minute copy, and how can you get something into a sales letter or a long-form video in 60 minutes. How can you get something into a form that will help you to sell something? And that's really the goal of what we want to do tonight. And most importantly, and this is something that I want to say at the outset, is that you are responsible not only for production, right? So it's not just product creation. You are also responsible for marketing, and most people are really aware of that. They know they've got to try to get traffic. They know they've got to try to get the right person to the offer. But then you're also responsible for sales too, and that means then that you and I have to make an effective enough presentation so that people will want to buy something, so that people will trust us, so that people will say, okay, you know what, I'm going to spend a little money with you. And that really does take work. And someplace between the marketing and someplace between the sale, then we have to be, as in the best way that we can, we've got to be formulaic to the point where we have to have all the right elements there, and then we take those elements and we personalize them. So in other words, it's not just that you do it your way, I do it my way. But there are psychological triggers, and that's really what copywriting is all about. We take those psychological triggers that really work with mankind, people kind, or whatever the case is. They work with people, right? So we have to, we have to be willing to operate within that format, but yet at the same time, we have to be willing then to do it in a way that reflects who we are, that reflects our products, that reflects our USP. And that's not hard to do, but you do have to understand the structure. That's what we're going to be talking about here tonight. I want to talk a little bit about some required reading, just some things that will help you to really define how to do this in your own voice, right? And Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy, highly recommend that is a book that you read. And even if you have read it before, I would suggest that this is one of those books that as an information marketer, as an entrepreneur, that you read this book once a year, and that it really does get in and sink in that when you sit down to write something about your business, when you're making a sale, when you are bringing the right person to the page, there's some things that you want to have available. Dan Kennedy does a great job in this book of touching on those things that you have to have if you're going to make the sale. This is something that is rather new, but it is, I think, a very important part of how we really relate to customers inside of what we do, inside of our marketing materials. And that's Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I cannot say enough good about this book. This is something that really does help us to really think clearly about how to talk to customers. So in other words, building a story brand is really about how to make the customer the hero. Right? The customer, the hero of their story, and really getting into what that story means. Words That Sell by Rick Bayan, right? Again, that's really just kind of using the right words. And some of this really does kind of come back down to understanding what those words really are that really trigger people to take action. Anything you can put your hands on by David Ogilvy, doesn't matter. I mean, read all of it. Hopefully, over the course of your entrepreneurship, you should read everything that he has. Everything that David Ogilvy has written, you and I should be reading. Everything by Jay Abraham. Jay Abraham has done a lot of videos. They're now on YouTube. And if you've got 15 minutes to kill, and you're sitting someplace in a doctor's office, or you're sitting someplace and you've got to wait, I would suggest you get your YouTube app out and you type in there Jay Abraham and you find his channel, and then really just kind of sit down and take in what he's saying about marketing. Just about anything that Jay Abraham is saying about marketing, for those of us who are information marketers, in particular, those of us who are solo marketers, this is going to be helpful material. He understands, he gets it. Anything by Jay Abraham, I suggest you put your hands on it. The Better Branding Workshop by Caroline Weingart, one of the best workshops I've ever come across. And what this does is this will help you to position yourself, help you to understand where you fit in the marketplace. Before you develop a USP, you sort of have to map out where you are in the market and what it is you're going to be offering. Caroline Weingart does a good job of that and helping you to really write things, really say things in a way that says to people, hey, I'm in this place in the market. If you want what I have uniquely, you have to come get it. Great workshop. And she really recommends a book inside of there. Another book that I suggest you read, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Because if we can resonate with the person that understands why we're doing what we're doing, and if that's the same why they have, they'll almost be willing to buy from us because we understand their why and because they understand ours, right? So Start With Why, Simon Sinek. Something that I've often recommended, and you can do a Google search for this, David Fry's 12-Point Bulletproof Sales Letter. It's a one-page guide. It should be part of your required reading. This should be something that you should be almost use as a checklist. If you want to take his list and put a checklist together, that'll help you. A course. It's a pricey course. What it does is it provides templates, copywriting templates, and it is probably if you're learning to write copy. Right, if you're trying to figure out what's the right structure of each part of the sales letter, this was probably the most helpful thing that I've ever done that was template based. It's called Fast Effective Copy. It's by Brian McLeod and David Garfinkel. The Ultimate Copywriting Workshop by Yannick Silver. I mean, I got this maybe back in 2009. It is timeless. It is a classic. If you can get your hands on it, you need to get it. And I got it on eBay years ago. You can probably still get it there. You can probably still get it. Somebody selling it secondhand. It is invaluable because the information in it is not. It's not based on a particular period of time. So you don't have to be a baby boomer or a Gen Xer or a millennial, and you don't have to have lived in a particular period of time to benefit from this understanding of how to write copy. So, Ultimate Copywriting Workshop by Yannick Silver. Print Persuasion and Guru Mastermind by Eben Pagan. This is an information product. Again, this is kind of floating around. You can still get your hands on a copy of this. What Eben Pagan does on copywriting, again, will give you a fundamental understanding, and it'll help you to think through everything that you're doing systematically. Right? And then Hidden Marketing Assets. Now, this is a version of something that Jay Abraham did. It's by Richard Johnson and Michael Sinoff. This is an information product. And sometimes you can find these on eBay. Once again, every resource that I've recommended to you right here on this page is a timeless resource. So in other words, it's not going to be the end thing to do, but this will give you a fundamental working knowledge of how to write copy. And then all you're going to do then is build on your knowledge. Once you get these in your brain, once you've read these, you will then know how to write copy. And then all you really need to do is we're going to go over some best practices here at the end of this session. Some things that will help you to kind of build on this. But if you build on top of this foundation, you will be able to write copy. Right? So again, this is going to be required reading, I suggest. Let's talk about writing copy. One unseen aspect of your copy is going to be done by designing your product right. So in other words, probably one of the best things you can do is to create something that's going to sell itself. It really does mean that you understand the customer. You're not going to give the customer something that they have to strain to understand. That's another thing that Donald Miller says. You don't want them to burn too many extra calories trying to understand what it is you're offering. Give it to them clearly and design something that they know exactly what they're getting so that they can go and buy it based on what they want. Once you know and understand what they want, you can design ways to give it to them. So in other words, yes, you figure out what it is they want. If you're creating an information product and you know people want to discuss, let's say, how to be a better parent, and these people are really wanting to know how to be better parents to their toddlers, and you can actually put something together that's going to help them, then you want to make sure that you figure out creative ways of finding those people that want that product. But again, understanding that they want it is half the battle. Give it to them uniquely in ways that other people cannot. In other words, develop a USP, right? Develop a unique selling proposition. So in other words, I've got to come to you to get your guide on parenting because you've got something that nobody else has. You've got something that not only is a unique position in the marketplace, but something you're able to bring to this process other people can't bring to it, right? So again, this is all building into the copy. So it's great to have good copy, but this will help your copy to sell and do even better if you have a unique selling proposition. Also, this means then that you can bring the right person to your offer with marketing that draws them in. So in other words, having all of this means then that you know how to get the right person to the right offer. right? So again, so this is really half of it. Can I bring the right person to the right offer? Now, again, everything we're going to be talking about tonight assumes that you brought the right person to the page. You have a sales page, you have a sales video, you have brought the right person there. So whatever you're saying to them, you are going to be talking to somebody who doesn't have to be convinced that what you're presenting is even a need or that it's necessary. Right? You shouldn't have people there that have to be convinced that what you're going to be presenting to them is a need. You want to get the right people there in the first place. So again, that's going to be half the battle.